Don. Well, as Don said, I am Bob Consitis. Most of you, I'm sure, were on yesterday's session. So we get to be the first session of the morning. Yay, I'm about halfway through my coffee. I don't know about anyone else. So we're still waking up. We're going to dive into this. Sarah, Vicki, and Patty, do you guys want to chime in and say hello real quick? Your introduction.
Good morning. I'm in the office at Caldwell. So if I'm covering 31 counties of Section C of the state, and I have a great group.
So that was Vicki Snyder.
And I am Sarah Mays. I am out of Worcester. I am working with Area B, but I get to talk to a lot of you and we get to work through some of these fun problems together. So I appreciate it, everybody.
And I'm Patty Korfman. I apologize for being late on this one, but unfortunately my power went out yesterday, and so now my internet's kind of spotty, so I apologize for that. I am on main campus and I have Area A.
All right. That's another thing we can share.
Well, and we'd also like to introduce the newest member of our team.
Yes.
If you have any updates, here is our sweet little Jay Buxton. This is Jesse's little baby boy. He's doing really well. So we're going to add him to the team as soon as he gets of age, I think.
Yes, he can take my place once Jesse comes back.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Aw.
And
No
here's
subtracting.
now daddy with a little guy.
Yeah. Little guy.
Don't they look alike?
5 or 6 pounds.
I think he was about 5 pounds when he was born.
5
He
pounds,
was a little
yeah,
bit
6
early and overcame some obstacles and is home with his sisters now. So he's doing well.
Yeah, I saw they were making cookies yesterday or Wednesday. So they're getting back into the swing of things, getting used to having 3 kids.
So good topic to start our morning off.
Yeah. So yeah, Jesse is the person that usually handles this meeting. And before he left, he said, well, you can take care of that one. And, you know, Sarah, Vicki, and Patty, you all can be a part of it. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. What should we talk about? You know, so we thought today, instead of trying to recreate what Jesse does usually each year on this session, we'll play it a little bit differently, kind of go over just a reminder of what is the extension operations team, what do we do, kind of navigate the website a little bit, and then talk about some hot topics, and then leave plenty of room for your questions. So speaking of where we're at today, I was just thinking about this coming into work today. I mean, we're 10 months now into Workday. And I think we're a little bit further behind than I expected to be at this point in terms of the Workday transition. But there is some good news. I mean, we're finally getting to learn some of the reports so we can catch up on reporting. We're starting to at least know of the struggles in our purchasing and accounts payable worlds, not being able to diagnose them much quicker, but we're getting to know the issues. And then our sponsored programs office, at least in the last couple of weeks, have been seeing them start to roll out grants that have been sitting there for months and months and months. So it seems like 10 months in, the little bit of a win that I can share is that at least we're starting to get somewhere on something. So let's take all we can get. You know, I still celebrate anytime that we get an expense report through the system, you know, within a matter of days, whether it be personal reimbursement or whatever. So just first, just give yourself just a deep breath. You're here, you're in it. It's a constant struggle, but I have some positivity that in about 2 years we'll be somewhere in a better place, at least with reporting, I hope, and approvals. So Jesse's on paternity leave now, and before he left, he was able to get Sarah, Vicky, and Patty access to the cost center manager role. Thank goodness, because I couldn't imagine doing all those approvals while he's gone, or expect Jesse to be holding a kid in one hand and clicking approve with the other hand, at all hours of the day. So yeah, Sarah, Vicky, and Patty have been approving since he's left, and we've been meeting up very often about questions and approvals, which is another reason why it's hard to get to my inbox, I know, and get to those questions. So that's where we are now. They are approving the transactions that are in the system, and I am doing some approvals as well, mainly those that are over $2,500, payroll and journals. Those are mostly the things that I'm approving. So let's go ahead and today, let's think about the extension operations team. So Sarah, if you want to go start sharing the extension operations website, because this is kind of where I'm going a lot more often. The extension operations website is basically replacing many of the things that the CFAS finance site used to do. But I'm hearing that the CFAS finance site is going to we're going to put some more things on there that are college-wide policies and guidance, things like that. So here is the site. And where I wanted to start here today was that there's so many things going on in Workday. We say use the ARC, but the operations team, this site is intended for all things, not just finance, human resource. So not just the fiscal team. We're here as the fiscal update, but it's got the human resources tab there, news and notes. So it's more than just extension forms. So if you're not already on there, bookmark the page and then go there first for your reference, or what Sarah says, Google certain things or use the OSU search for things, which I do sometimes, and get Cindy Buxton's job aids from 6 years ago. But it's if you do that, I'd say try the extension operations page first for certain things that are extension related. So Sarah, if you want to go ahead and navigate the site a little bit.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and just drop the link right here into the chat. If you don't have that bookmarked, please do that now. We are constantly putting things up here that we think are just going to answer some questions so that you guys don't have to wait on us for a response. So one of our biggest things that we've been trying to do is putting out these news articles. Vicki has been great in getting these updated. They go on the main page here, as you can see, but you can also go through and go into the extension finance tab. And the news is right here at the top. And as you see, all these links come up over here where you can search different articles that have been written and see what kind of stuff we put in there. So they have a lot of links, a lot of good information. So you can search that. There used to be a search button over here, but I guess it's moved now with the update. But like I said, there's all these links here on the side that you can jump to if you're looking for a certain article and want to see what links were put in there. So that's a good way to navigate there. Another big tab here is our job aids tab. So we've been putting up as many things as we can. As we get them done, we're putting those here. So as you see, there's different sections. Right here, we have our travel. This has been great because there's been a lot of influx in travel lately. So educators are having some trouble with spend authorizations, with which categories to choose, how to have them refer back to this job aid for any other questions. There's also video. I did this before things were updated, so it might be a little outdated, but the information is still pretty much the same. We are working on more of the reports job aids here. That's a work in progress, as we all have found out. They're not quite as easy as we thought they would be before Workday happened. So we're working on that. One of the big things that we've been working on lately is our fiscal guidance here. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So this is our one-stop shop resource for anything that you can think of that you might need some guidance on. Go to this job aid, search down through the links here on the side for job aids or different articles, lists, anything. So this is going to be a good resource for those who are new to extension or those that need a refresher. Anything that you can think you have questions on, check here, see if it can answer your question, and then you can contact Vicky, Patty, or I, and we can help you out through the process. So this is now posted to the website. And we do update these often, so you can download it to your computer, but check back and see if there's a new version. We have been putting the dates here at the bottom so that you can find if you have the newest version or not. So lots of stuff here.
So this
So check it-
document is going to be kind of the home for when we start to really dive into more of buying tools and what should be used. There's a good start here. And so when we get some more clarification on like, well, can we pay vendors on or caterers on purchase a P card or a PO? Like we're still working through that. You know, we're trying to get into new ways, new buying tools, new ways of buying things that we used to just use the P card or the checking account for. So this is the one of the intentions of this job. It is trying to put all of our thoughts into one place.
When we were asked questions like, you know, if I want to do this, where do I go? And we thought, okay, we're going to combine several documents into one because we had a yearly calendar. We had different, you know, documents out there for fiscal work, but we decided, why not combine them into one-stop shop? And so that was what we ended up with.
So yeah, in addition to that, there's tons of stuff that we've been putting up here that are just very helpful resources for anything that you can think of. So that would be the job aids tab. There's other tabs down here with our forms and reporting, other things that are very useful. So please refer back to the site anytime you have a question. And I know that our partners in the hiring have put up some wonderful job aids for educators in the hiring process and many other things. So please use this site to your advantage and just explore it. Let's see, I was gonna go in and remind everybody where you can find information. If you aren't used to calling us and have our numbers on speed dial, you can come down to the operations team here. And we're all listed down here with all of our direct lines and everything. And we do have our map up here. So here is a good visual that you can put on your wall. If you are in any of these sections, contact me. If you're in these, contact Patty. And over here is Vicky. So we have a lot of resources out there for everybody to get to us as easy as possible. So that's kind of the overview of the website. And I'll give it back to Bob. Let him.
So that map, I mean, I have put that map up and I have not gotten, you know, that's been up since Jesse's been gone. I have not closed out of that. So I definitely use that. So operations team staff mentioned, go down to that list again. Carol Wagner and Vicky Myers is on this call. I mean, those are the other two that are very much, here we go. Yeah, so administrative associate, Carol Wagner, Vicky Myers. So, and of course there's Jeff, which is the director of operations. So yeah, Carol Wagner and Vicky Myers, if you're in the call, I want to say hi real quick and say what you do on a daily, you know, what's your heading, you know, your 60-second speech, you're welcome to.
Well, Robert, this is Carol Wagner. Good morning to everyone. And basically, I take care of everything that is not fiscal.
Yeah.
So any questions you have that aren't fiscally related, I can answer a few fiscal just because I did it in the county. But with Workday, I'm not near as much help because I haven't used the system yet. But I take care of everything that is not fiscal, sorry. And we are working on, it should be released any day now, a onboarding document for support staff.
Oh, great.
So we have given it out to one county. They are looking it over and they will be returning that to us soon. And then that will be uploaded here to the site also. So we will get that out just as soon as we can. And I'll let Vicky give her spiel.
Thank you, Carol.
Good morning. I'm Vicki Myers. I'm in the Worcester office with Sarah. Cover used to be Area B, but with Leanne Johnson's retirement, Carol and I are splitting Area C. So we're kind of 50-50 for the state right now. Hopefully someday we'll get Leanne's position filled, but for right now, that's what we're covering. And there's the map that you can see. It's kind of broken out as to how Carol and I split Area C, but yeah, that's
Thank
about
you.
my spiel.
Thank you, Vicky. All right. Definitely want to have.
And Robert, I hate to interrupt, but I guess I should say that I am now located in the Union County office. So they found a space for me and I have a landing space there. So thank you to them. And if you need me, that's where you can find me.
Great, thank you. So Sarah, as you said, that's the website. The news articles, do you want to dive more into those? I think you looked at those real quick, but.
So the news articles, the newest ones are obviously right here on the main page, the landing page, but to go to old news articles, the fiscal news here at the top. And they are in chronological order and they go back for however long we started doing this. Oh, here's your search down here. It's finally down here at the bottom. So if you're looking for something specific, type in your keyword and it will bring up any article that has that word in it. So that's a nice feature there. But also, like I said, a lot of these have been broken out by those keywords with these tabs over here. So if you're looking for something on travel, it's going to jump to the articles specific about travel. So that's also a great way to answer some questions on the fly. I know that we all are usually on a time crunch and want to have those answers immediately. This is a good way to try to get those handled if we don't see an email from you or a chat or something. So that can be a really good way to handle those busy educators.
Yeah, so communications, Vicky, you put out monthly the extension fiscal update. That's what it's called?
Yes,
That's
yes,
the all extension, right?
right.
So not
Yes,
just support staff, that's to everyone. And those, you have links to these articles in there, so it drives people to this site. Again, this is for all extension, right?
right, and we share it with OARDC as well.
Yeah. Great.
And I want to say on the news articles that I'm always putting plugs out there as support staff are asking questions. And it's something that I've not done yet, just recently, like on how to charter a bus. I say some of your tips and what you found was useful and helpful. We can make a news article on that. So it's always changing, always growing. And I have to give kudos to Eric Owens for the idea on the tabs. It was getting so huge and so hard to search. He suggested the tabs to break them out, and that's working wonderfully.
All right. Do we have, I see some things in the chat, but do we have any questions about the extension operations site before we move on to hot topics? I'm just scrolling here. Okay, looks like we're ready to move on, which is good. We should probably move on. So let's go to our next. I wish I had like a blinking slide for this, the hot topics. So today we want to talk about the recent change to how gift cards and non-cash items are handled. Quick note on apparel, and then that lovely P card email that was sent out not too long ago, I believe by maybe Jen was the one that sent it out, but talking about the 90-day delinquent transactions. So let's start with the gift cards and non-cash apparel. So Sarah, if you want to share that document that was created by the Service Center, Jen Bula. All right, so as we've talked about in office hours, I believe it was our last office hours, I kind of mentioned that the guidelines or the policy for buying gift cards and non-cash items has changed. It has changed drastically, and it changed in a direction that we didn't quite expect. So per a recent audit by the IRS on OSU is that we are not handling gift cards and non-cash items appropriately. And that's for either employees or non-employees. So we're used to buying gift cards, non-cash items, and those are things like T-shirts for camps, promotional items, items that you have at programming, anything that could be of value that you give out, like tumblers, things like that. So while in the last 10 months or so, I know Jesse's been just kind of beating the drum of don't buy as many gift cards, hold on to buying gift cards, and in as many situations as possible, do not buy gift cards. And if we look at this job aid that says gift cards and non-cash items are prohibited to be used or issued to business or organizations in lieu of payment for goods or services. University payment must be initiated via Workday. And the same thing with future payment tools. Don't buy gift cards in bulk, things like that. And there's a lot of situations in extension that there's just so many situations that it's hard to make a quick reference guide for, like, okay, you can do it in these certain situations. So when you're buying for a research survey, it's okay. Or when you're buying camps for camp directors, things like that, volunteers, master gardeners, things that's okay. No, it's not quite as easy. Basically, just to give this the big overview is that if we want to, and I didn't talk about exactly what the reporting rules are, but if we just to note, if we want to get out of doing the things that we have to do now, is we have to prove that it's it's too much of an administrative burden to do those things. So let's talk about what was shared on what we have to do. Basically, anytime we give out a gift card or non-cash item, we're supposed to get that person that receives it to fill out the OSU vendor form, collect that, and then send that in either via the Workday transaction or collect it and send it in some other way. Pretty drastic change, right? So many of you were on that office hours, so you're thinking, okay, I've kind of digested this. I understand what you're talking about here, but I don't like it. Sarah, if you want to scroll down to the bottom where it talks about, so this table here talks about the recipient and what types of recipients there are, just to give a basic summary. And like the job aid says, this is not all inclusive of the different recipients and then what kind of tax reporting is required. So if you think about, let's say that second one, non-employee with established relationship, so it's volunteer, whatever, all circumstances must be reported. Like say, in that department tasks, you have to get the supplier paperwork, and then on the record or expense report, document the payee status, attach the documentation. So, and then it talks about service center tasks and alternatives, which I love it. It says not provide a gift card or non-cash item. Of course, yeah, we can totally stop doing the business that we're used to doing, but let's think in terms of, and I will say that the service centers put out that starting November 1st, they will start looking for vendor forms unless we can provide some justification that, that prove that administrative burden. Okay, so what are we doing to tackle this as an extension operations team? Well, I will say this. Jesse, I know, is very passionate about this, and he has a lot of history with this, tackling these types of situations. So am I, but I haven't had a chance to really dive into the data and to get some proof of administrative burden, right? So for all of you that are thinking of this now, it would be really helpful to think about those situations where you have to buy gift cards, certain programs that you do in your county that say, wait, we buy gift cards for this situation. Yes, there are things like FNEP, there are the bigger programs throughout the state, but what are those things that are more done just in your county that you know of, that where you use gift cards and non-cash items? That's those situations where you're like, I don't know how to take care of this any other way. So think of those. Sarah, you met before we started here, you mentioned creating a spreadsheet and putting on the support staff team. And that's you were thinking that collecting those situations through that spreadsheet, is that what
Yeah, we realize that there
thinking?
could be a ton of questions on this topic. So what our best method, I think, in figuring out how we're going to handle these, I'm going to create a spreadsheet and put it in the extension support staff teams. If you have an instance, like it looks like Faye messaged about gas cards for judges, put that on there, and we're going to try to figure out with the service method on how to handle these in the future. So any situation where you're thinking it's a non-cash item that you're questioning on in your county, put it on that spreadsheet and we're going to start addressing those. And I know I talked to, I think Debbie, I talked about, we're going to probably have a job aid coming soon. As soon as we can figure out up and down on this, left and right, we will tell you. This is a draft from the service center. So this is our first version of what is being asked of us. So we're figuring it out as we go, and we promise to get that information to you as soon as we can.
And that gas cards for non-livestock judges, I will say that buying gift cards, or I guess I know gas, so I'm just thinking about this for gas cards specifically, but we had a big mess on our hands with buying some gift cards in lieu of reimbursement for travel. So the service center was saying that we can't do that. We have to elevate that and get the tax office's justification or blessing before we can approve that purchase. So to think of, just make sure that just going forward, if you have anything that you're buying, say in lieu of a payment for an honorarium or service, or another one is payments to volunteers as thank yous in terms of gift baskets, or you say, oh, thanks for coming, well, we'll just give you a $25 gift card. I mean, that's not going to work going forward from what we know. So right now we're just trying to think of what can't we change? What kind of processes or programs do we need things like shirts, gift cards, and other things for? So that's that. Any
Question
other?
about the gift cards for the non-livestock judges. Since that's technically would fall under a senior fair board type activity, does that necessarily fall under the same rules and guidelines?
Any purchase made through university funds fall under these guidelines for anyone that is doing business for the university.
And this has always been an issue. It's an IRS guidance, and we have not been following it correctly. So the service center is attempting to get us more in line so that when we do have our audits, that these kind of things don't become an issue. So it's always been there. It's just hasn't been enforced greatly, I guess is good.
And for us, we are autonomous from our fair board. Our fair, we don't share funds, we don't do anything, pay anything. Our non-livestock judges are still project judges, and our camp volunteers are the ones that we typically give gas cards to. So that's why I'm asking, because we use university funds for the gas cards. We're not attached in any way, shape, or form to our fair board other than our kids participating in the fair.
Yeah. So yeah, the gift cards are being bought with university funds, and it's included in this in this guidance here. So this policy.
And we know that this is going to be harder for us to handle. That's why I highly encourage you to put those situations on that spreadsheet that I'm going to be posting in Teams. That way we can get some direct answers on how we're supposed to handle this. So it's a work in progress, and please just be patient with us as we try to figure it out with the support center and everybody in the university as far as the reporting and the tax office and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Kay, I just saw your question about retirement gift. There's a different policy for retirement gifts. I mean, well, there is a policy for retirement gifts, and those types of purchases still fall under this same type of policy where the so anything that's purchased through university funds. Trying to read your question here and process it here, but the purchase, the gift card, that's $75 that was bought from the university funds from the office, that is still, I mean, that's taxable.
Yeah, we're not going to do a gift card where we've got a specific item that we're going to
Yeah.
cost more than $75.
Yeah.
People in the office are contributing the balance above $75. So would that whole amount end up being taxable to her, or only the $75?
Only the $75. Yeah, good question. And just to close this again, so Sarah, you're going to put some spreadsheet on the support staff Teams, and then people can add to it, and then you'll let people know through a comment or a chat item, whatever, in Teams, right? Is that kind of how we're thinking of broadcasting this? And one note, if anyone here is in this call today, we didn't talk about Teams, about the support staff Microsoft team yet. Let's mention that real quick. Sarah, do you want me to share that, or do you have that up?
I'm working on it.
Awesome. So there is a team, a Microsoft team, that's called OSUE. Nope, that's the wrong one. OSU Extension Support Staff. Yes.
And
So
a
if
lot of you
you-
are,
Go
so
ahead.
please utilize this for questions and all kinds of good things. I'm going to post the spreadsheet here in the files tab. So it'll be down here along with the other things that are here. But if you're not on this team, please join, and we will get you in there so that you're able to access all these resources.
Great, yeah. And how do they join again, you say? Do they email?
I think that you just have to send a request because we do approve them.
Okay.
Vicky, Patty, is that how that works?
I believe another member can request someone to be added.
So if you're not on here, maybe shoot us a message and we'll add you.
Great. So I say, in the interest of time, getting to our other couple things we want to talk about, let's move on to the next hot topic, which I just navigated out of that. So just to piggyback off of that for apparel, so we're used to the guidance or the policy. It's the policy that you have to, that anything that's purchased as an apparel item is taxable to the employee. That hasn't changed. What has changed is how the taxation is entered in the system. So let's say you're buying new shirts for the office because we have this new extension tag or something like that. So you buy shirts through Buckeye Buy, you get all the quotes and all the branding, all that stuff approved, and then you do the requisition, and then it gets to one of the cost center managers and like, uh-oh, that's apparel. So what we do is now as the supervisor has to go into each one of the employees' records through a one-time payment and mark that. Let's say it's a polo that's $50. So they have to go into that employee's record and add that $50 to their payroll. And then we're told that once that gets to $100, any taxable items, that's when the employee is taxed on those items. So just for you, I mean, there's not much has changed for apparel in terms of that policy. It has changed a lot though for the supervisors. We've spent a lot of time with supervisors when, say, we've had something in one department where they decided to buy 100 gift cards for grad students and employees, things like that, and they raffled them off. And then the supervisors in all different departments had to go in and add that to their taxable record on payroll. And so that was fun. So I wanted to share that. And then the last hot topic we had was that P card email that went out not too long ago. The P card transactions not expensed report. And Sarah, I think that's another one that you have. You were ready with some of the visuals for that. Trying to find that email that went out to the P card managers. All right, who wants to tackle this one? All right, Bueller, anyone? So, okay, so we have an email went out to the cost center managers and to all of the P card managers, from what I understand, that the university is going to start complying to, or making departments comply to, this process of if the P card transaction is not expensed within 90 days of the transaction date, that they're going to start holding the P card, and hold as a suspension there. So if you go down there, a 30-day warning for holds and suspensions. 30-day warning period will be basically they'll start a 30-day hold period on that card and then review that at the end of there. So let's step back and look at this one. So in the email, all the transactions that haven't been expensed yet or are still in process were highlighted in different colors, and basically anything that was over 90 days, if you have a transaction out there, it still hasn't been fully approved. So you've got the transaction.
Hey, Bob.
90 days. Go ahead.
They're saying that they did not get the email. Can you explain to them why they didn't get the email?
Okay, so this email only went out to those folks that have transactions more than, and I'm trying to think how many days. So it was a certain, so if you're a P card manager, let's say, and you have only had one transaction, two transactions, handful, and you got them all the expense reports are in, and you have nothing hanging out there, then you would not have gotten this email. I'm just trying to look to see if I can get that exact time period. But the hot topic on this is that the P card office is going to start holding or suspending P cards if the P card manager does not get their expense report in process within 90 days of that transaction. So if you have gotten this email, work with Sarah, Vicky, and Patty to get your expense reports in and try to figure out or investigate where those are in process.
So basically with this news, we're just asking you to revert back to our old policy. When you use a P card, make sure it's in within, I think we had 48 hours before. So I think they say within 5 days, you should be seeing that in your workday queue. So use that P card, just go in there and check, make sure it's done right away and check that off your sheet. Because they do say that if you get your one of your cards gets suspended, then all of your cards get suspended. So if you have more than one in your office, whatever delinquent card, if you're the P card manager for more than one, they will all be taken away. So that we don't want to happen. And then I guess this kind of goes along with the same policy as like travel. If you don't use CPT 3 times, you don't ever get to use university travel. So it's kind of the same policy with the P card. So if you get your card taken away 3 times, you will never be allowed to have a card again. So we're not wanting anybody to get to any of these phases. So I know that we can trust you all to get yours done within 5 days because you were excellent in the old system, and I know you'll do well in this one. So it's just a little bit of a shift from what we were originally told, but I think this is a very easy thing to avoid. So I think we can do it.
I know from my counties, I was not thinking they would see this, so I was sending out the little piece of their pie and letting them know where we stood and what needed done, and many of them jumped on it, and some of them said, I already did this last week. So it was a delayed report. So a lot of these were already off the list, and we couldn't see that yet. So know that most of you did have some of these already taken care of. Thank you. And then those that were way back in the many months back, those are the warning bells that really set this off. So we're cleaning up, and I just want to answer Carla's question on the reassigning. That is an issue when you reassign a P card charge to someone that is a traveler. You may not think you can see that, but I think if you log in as that traveler, so if you, find spend authorization is what you would type in the search, and then the person that the name would be the traveler's name, and you might be able to see it. Again, I'm not sure of what access you have, if you can see that or not. So we may practice those, Carla, if I could work with you on that. So just to see what you see and if you can see, because some of the delayed expensing was some of those that was reassigned. And you may not even know that they're still hanging out there. So we want to get a handle on that.
And plus, though, you can also use this create an expense report for worker. Even if you're not doing it, you're just looking at it, you type in their name and it will pop down at the bottom like it would have done for you for your P card. So you put in that person's name and it will still be down there if they had not expensed it.
And what I did want to add is I will be posting these resources to our website. So those will be up there as soon as we get the go ahead to make sure to be able to share these broadly. And there was a couple questions about those who don't get information to you quickly. You are the P card manager, so you can use that power to get people in line with what you need. I mean, this is a university policy. And also, when you do reassign an expense to someone else, you can go in to a field. It's create expense report for worker and select that person to see if it has been done. So there is a way to go in there and look and see if it has been expensed. And you can always go in and look for find expense report to see if it has been done. So if you are worried about somebody in there, we can help you look around and make sure that that expense has been taken care of.
See a question about an issue with some charges out there that are supposed to have been on an OSP, but we don't have the OSP grant number. That's Kimberly Palmer. So let's see, if you have charges out there, then I expect this applying to more than one county possibly, that if you have a charge out there that is on an OSP grant and you did use the OSP grant P card to purchase that item and that's just still waiting in your like you haven't done anything to expense that transaction yet because you're waiting for that grant, I'd say continue to check on, check with your PI to get that grant set up, and then to escalate that. Let them know that Lori Kaiser is the one that can help get those grants set up. And so she's the one in the college. And she said, I don't have an OSP card yet. So if these purchases, so if you have purchases on a Univ card, your regular card, and you're trying to get them on the OSP, then you just expense the cards on the, or just expense the transactions on the card that you have. So let's just think about that. So you bought something that on your regular Department P card that should have been on an OSP grant, no matter if you have the grant number or not, that charge can't be expensed or reallocated. What we know in the old world, we can't do that. So go ahead and
let me kind of explain. This is
sure.
what this is, and we've talked to Jesse even before this too. It's our car team program, and
Okay.
for the volunteers, we buy them their meals because they come in and help us. So we buy a meal. So the way that it's been done before is we do that. We've expensed it, all been great. When the MOU came this year, now it's a big deal. So now it needs to switch over to OSP. Even though we've been doing this a different way, the grant is through the court, not through us. We're in this limbo period of getting the OSP card, getting the number, all of this stuff. Jesse's like, if you can write a check, do that, but ultimately use your current P card and we'll have to fix it later. But it's in this limbo that I can't do anything with it because I don't have the information to do it. And from what I understand, everybody's done their part as far as putting in the information to get the OSP card and all these things. It's just, it's somewhere and I'm not getting the information back. So these charges are sitting there until I know what to do with them.
So
Do you know if the card's there? Because we can go pick it up if it's at the what's that place called that's down this Blankenship. I can pick it up and then send it to you if it's there.
What I've understand, it hasn't been, nobody knows that it's been processed. The documents have been, you know, when I talk to the area leaders, like I've done my part, whatever, and I keep letting them know I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. So we've gotten no indication that it's waiting, that it's anywhere. You know, this has been an ongoing, I mean, I'm talking to somebody about this every week because the time goes by. I mean, we were even running into an issue of when it was billed before this whole switch over, we got a check in and we didn't even know where to send the check. And it was getting to the point where the check was going to expire, so we wouldn't get paid for our services. So, I mean, this has just been a huge, huge problem since this started in July.
Yeah, grants in general, or things that we do, programs that we do that we always determined as not OSP grants, and now the university is saying that we need to run these things for OSP is certainly another hot topic that wasn't I didn't write down, but yeah, that's certainly an issue. But I will say that if you have transactions outstanding on your Univ P card that are supposed to be for an OSP grant, that you can't expense those to that grant anyway, you have to expense them to a local funding source and then do a transfer. So even when you get that grant number, you'll still be in the same situation where you can't say that transaction for the meal, it needs to go on to the county funding first and then transferred via a journal. So if anyone's in the situation where they have stuff hanging out there because you don't have the right work tags, especially for grants, I say just to make sure that you don't get your card suspended, use the best work tags that you have available and then transfer it over. Because what's worse, a journal to and I know this is outside of the situation that we're just talking about, but what's worth getting your card suspended or or having that transaction just kind of sitting there? I mean, okay, let me repeat that. If what's worse, getting your card suspended or expensing that card to the wrong work tags,
Well, that's why I wanted to keep asking about this, because I can certainly go do like I have been and then
Yeah.
transfer it later, but I was told not to do that. So I am constantly asking about this, but I can certainly do that. I can certainly go back in and expense them all the way we have and then deal with it later once we get numbers, if that's an appropriate thing to do. I just didn't want to cause more of an issue, but I don't want the card suspended either. So
yeah. No, I hear you. You're just doing the best that you can, and that's all we can ask, right? In terms of these policies. So, and just if you're waiting on a P card, especially, and you initiated that with Jesse before he left, and you haven't seen a DocuSign application in your inbox yet, then reach back out to me and whoever's in your Sarah, Vicky, or Patty to check on the status of that P card, because I'm finding people that are saying, well, before Jesse left, I asked for this P card. I'm like, well, did you sign your application yet? Well, no. Well, okay, so it means that it still hasn't been submitted to the service, like the service center that submits the P cards applications on our behalf hasn't received that information yet. So I just been getting that information, sending it on to Tyler in the service center, and he was able to get a couple moving for me. So do that. Certainly reach out about P card. We can get you started on P cards. Can't do much about the grants.
And I was going to put into that OSP is doing a little bit of restructuring from what I've seen recently. So we may have a new contact that we need to talk to, Kim. So we'll work together and we'll get some answers. And if we need to press a little harder with Lori Kaiser, we can do that.
okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, good topic to bring up.
Bob, two things. If we could get an idea of a county that does not have an OSP card, and if we could encourage all counties to go ahead and get one, because I would say for the majority, it would be anyone that has a grant or working through OSP needs that OSP card. Because one thing we haven't talked about, in charging on a P card for an OSP charge, we will not get 2.1% of that from OSP. So we're going to have to eat that amount when we do a transfer, when we use a regular fund, a university fund. So I think we need to let them be aware of that. So when it becomes the time to actually do the transfer, we will not be able to transfer the entire amount to the grant.
Yes, good point. If you do not have an OSP department P card in your office, I would suggest requesting one as soon as you know of anyone in your office that is working toward or applying for, or waiting on the grant, whatever it is in process for requesting an OSP grant.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
who's the one who does the DocuSign? Once they get once we send it on to Tyler from the service center, who does the DocuSign to send back to? Who are they going to be looking for an email or whatever to make sure that they finish processing their P card application?
Yeah, so the P card applications is submitted by Tyler, and then it waits for the P card manager to sign, and then I sign as the cost center manager, Jesse, when he's here, and then that goes to the P card office. So then once that DocuSign is done, you'll get a notification in your email that your DocuSign envelope is complete, and then you'll get word from the P card office about the details of your card, like how long, when it's supposed to be in. And Patty, you went in and you picked up a few cards, you say this week even, so that's really helpful. And another detail to this is that the P card office don't have the staff to be sending out P cards, or PNC Bank doesn't want to do that anymore. So all the P cards, all the new issued P cards are going to the P card office, and those have to be mailed out to the office if they're not here on Columbus campus. So,
Yeah, I'm planning on mailing those out today, all 3 of them. So.
okay.
And if you are looking to get a new card, work with Vicky, Patty, or I, and we will get that process going if we need to. So we're trying to figure out who we need to push to get certain things done. And now with the changes in the service center, we're starting to get some more names that we can count on to do things for us. So slowly but surely, we're getting there.
Let's see. See a question here from Katie that says, can we get a list? How do we get a list of all the charges to see what may be pending? So if a P card manager wants to go in there, I don't have a P card, so my demonstration won't do much. But Sarah, if you want to go in to Workday real quick and show, where do you find your P card transactions? Do you find them on my expense reports, my expenses? There's a few different ways to do this.
Yeah, let me get logged on and I'll see if I have mine in there yet.
Yeah.
Bob, could I take a couple seconds here on
Sure.
when we was talking about approvals? Some of the main things that I see that are sendbacks, if I could just review a few of those. When we're looking at entries and seeing, when we're looking for, say, a registration, we're going to be looking for an agenda. So you're going to be attaching that agenda maybe 3 times. Could be for the spend authorization, could be for a requisition to pay a registration, and then could be at the end of the travel when you're putting all your documentation in. So it does seem like repeat, but we're seeing sendbacks from the service center on missing agendas. So that's one of the biggies. Event flyers, when you're buying items for something that's happening, could be, a film festival, could be banquet, whatever. If you have a flyer that you can attach, it says when, where, what's happening, who it's for, that answers a lot of the questions. So that goes to the business purpose. Always do the who, what, when, why, where, and how. Give more information than not enough. And then I had trouble with PDFs opening for a while, but figured out I can right click download and I'd get them to open. So I'm not sure what the issue was, whether it was my computer or what, but I now have worked around that. So at least I'm not sending back for PDFs. Christina, you'll be glad to hear that. And the expense reports, Jesse had asked about putting the receipt in the line item, not as an attachment, but just like you would upload right into the expense. That saves having to move around too many screens, and at a glance, you can see everything's attached that we need. So just a couple requests that will help us speed it up and get more approvals done for you without sendbacks.
Thank you, Vicki.
And just for Bob, the poster on the back there on your wall, I don't know what it says other than the at last, but that's kind of where we feel sometimes. At last, we're getting this taken care of, Being able to help with approvals is a biggie.
Right, and just a note on that is that we see send back from the service center, and then we have to send that back to you. So these are things you're like, wait a minute, why in the world are you asking for me for that now? It's not Sarah, Vicki, Patty, I, Jesse are asking for this necessarily. It's more of that we go in there and we thought everything is good to go, and then the service center says, well, what is this? You're like, well, it's the same thing we've done for 10 years, whatever. So I know what it is, approved. You're like, no, I'm new here in the service center. Give me more information. So Vicki, this whole flyer thing on buying supplies for certain things, that's a new one. That's kind of out of left field. So, but if that's what we're being asked to do, I mean, I can totally understand that, is that you want to answer the who, what, where, when, where, and what, and where we know what the transaction's for because we are in this every day, but a brand new fresh service center, because there's been a lot of turnover in the service center, that they don't know. So they're just doing what they're told, right? So that's kind of, that's what I have to say about that.
And just recently, even the PO request, we had put in a change order PO request and they sent it back saying, are you sure? You know, and so it's like, okay, spell it out a little bit more. I want to add money to an old PO so we can pay the rest of the invoice, you know. So we do need to put more information, because they're even thinking, oh, maybe they're not putting the right one in.
Okay, so we'll go through an expense report right here. So like I said too, you can create an expense for a worker. So if you do assign a travel expense to an educator, you can go in and actually expense it on their behalf if you're worried that they aren't going to do it. So that is an option. I worked with a county who we just took care of it right then and there because it was a little bit older. So that can be done. But normally you're just going to go in and you're going to do create expense report. So it'll pop up with your list. If you have anything outstanding that hasn't been attached to an expense report, it will be down here at the bottom. If you know that you haven't finished one, but you may have looked into it and got interrupted, it will be gone from this list, but you can also go back out there and find it. So what you would do then is you would just go into find expense report or my expense report, and you can find out your list, and if they're in draft and they're in progress, if they're approved, you can go through this. So I'll just go through those real quick. So you always have to put your company in. I don't know why it doesn't default for us, but it doesn't. So you can change your span. So I went back all the way to the beginning of the year so that I found everything that was expensed to this cost center. You can leave that blank and put in created by worker if you know that, so say so-and-so started it in your office but didn't finish it, you can do that. And then it will show you that list that you're looking for and whether you need to address some, or if they're all in progress, then you're good to go. We also will get a spreadsheet from the service center of ones that we need to address that are approaching those deadlines. But this is a good way to go in and check and see if there's anything on your plate that you can address before that happens.
And what about if you want to know how to get a list of all the P card transactions? I want to know the status of them. I can't remember if it's called the My Expenses report or.
I do believe there's a P card report. I don't run that very often, so I would need a little bit more time to prepare that to show you guys, but
Well, look up My Expense. Yeah, My Expenses in the search bar. Try that one. I think it's my expense transactions. Yeah.
Okay.
So that one, I've looked at this before. And as P card managers, if you have a better way of looking at to find out where your transactions are in status, just leave that blank and then just leave that blank and just click OK. Let's see what comes back here. I want to see how this report.
Well, and if you figured something out, go ahead and pop it in Teams so that others can figure out the best way to look at these things. That's always a good option for each other to learn different ways.
So this doesn't quite give everything because the transaction status is what I was looking for. And the first two say pending, the rest say paid. So you can expect that if they say paid, I forget exactly what that means. Does paid mean that OSU paid the bill for that? Because they do that within 30 days. Or does that mean that does paid mean the expense report has been approved? That on this report, I don't think that's the case. But at least that's just a good way to check a list of your transactions. Yeah, you can check out one to see, just click into it.
Well, and I know that this expense report, so that's why this is new to me. So I'm taking a look at it. For
And does this take care of, like, if you've assigned it to someone else, will that show up as well in that list?
Good question.
Not quite sure, to be honest.
Mm,
So
okay.
many things in Workday I haven't been able to play around with yet. So if anybody else has more experience on that, please jump in.
From what I understand, that report just shows transactions that are assigned to you. So if you assign it to someone else, I don't think, I think they fall off that report. I could be wrong. Any savvy P card managers out there that want to chime in? And
I'm not a P card manager, but for the travel ones, if I use the phrase my spend authorization or my expense report, I can't see the ones that I've done for other people in my office.
gotcha. Yeah.
And the reason I asked is because I think earlier someone asked about how do they make sure that folks that they've assigned them to have taken care of them. So yeah, I just wondered if there was a way to go in and do that.
We went in search of a transaction that I had reassigned because it disappeared off both of our lists. And it was found in the, without using just the transactions, the expense transactions report. That'll show everything, no matter who has it.
Okay. So for some reason, I thought this one was scheduled until 10:30. So the next session is at 10:30. So we have about until 10:15 or so to wrap up. And I think Shalise, you said that you wanted to make a couple announcements before that. So if you want to jump on, Shalise, and get those
Yeah.
shared real quick.
Hey, everyone. I just wanted to reiterate that the next session starts at 10:30. On the Excel sheet, if you were looking at the Excel sheet for time references, it does say 10, but it
Oh,
is
10, thank you.
10:30.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
and then the other thing is, I will drop the evaluation for day one in the chat. If you have time today to go through that and evaluate the sessions you attended yesterday, that would be great. But those were the only two announcements I had.
Well, all right then. So said until 10:15. So we can see if we can, in 4 minutes, answer any other questions that we have in the chat, and then we can let everyone go, or you're free to go if you want. So thank you for joining today.
I could point out Terry Fisher put up the credit card transactions OSU report. I think that is also, all P card managers should be getting emails from the P card office occasionally. And in that email, they talk about reports. And so I think that's the report Terry's got there that they can look up and see where their credit cards stand.
Yeah, you can always use that credit card transactions -OSU, but from what I found, you can only run that by CCH6, the hierarchy, which is what I do is I put in for the, I think it's the organization, or you have to look up. What I do is put in food CCH6. Yeah, go ahead. Can you run that report? Does it actually pull in? No, it doesn't.
Well, no, I was trying to see if I could get it working while you guys weren't staring at me.
Yeah. So yeah, this credit card transactions OSU, this is the master report that OSU has to find transactions. But unfortunately, the only way that you can run this is on the extension or the cost center hierarchy. You can't run this by person. You can't run this by just cost center. You can, yeah, go back to that edit your parameters button. And then if you put in cost center hierarchy, you have to put in there, if you put in food CCH6,
Food?
Yeah, because it runs as the whole college. Yeah, so CCH6 is our college. Take that out and then run it and then you filter down. Yes, this gives you the data for every single transaction in the college for that date range that you put in. So you must filter. Oh, it's, how did it run for CCH?
Oh, we're back to extension.
So yeah, see, it ran for CCH 8 again.
And now it's not working, so
No, so let's just, but that, so anyway, that's the secret of the day. Cost center hierarchy, food, CCH 6, if you're trying to get into college level reports. I'm sure you all are taking time to look at college level reports, but anyway. So Sarah, Vicky, and Patty, thank you so much for your help today and always. I certainly miss Jesse. I'm sure he would have provided some more information that we missed, but yeah, appreciate it. Definitely all superheroes. Keep doing what you're doing out there. We have provided some resources today, but keep the questions coming as you have.